CADIA stands! Hello and welcome to this very special JB Wargamer 87 in coalition with Striking Scorpion 82 of my showcase of my Cadian 18th Army Group. So here it all is, every single miniature that you see, long requested video from fellow subscribers and fans of the channel, on both channels, Striking Scorpion 82 and JB Wargamer 87, of my entire collection that is fully painted of the Cadian army. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick overview of all the units, and then in the next segment of this video I'm going to talk about plans on how I'm going to organize this army and a bit of the narrative as well about how this army was formed in the 40k universe. So we've got to start with the Lehman Russ battle tanks. So this here is the standard Lehman Russ tank company in support of the infantry. So we have a tank commander, and then we have 3 demolishers, and then we have 6 regular Lehman Russes. These are the out of date, not out of date as such, out of production rather, Lehman Russes that you can't get anymore, sadly. They're a beautiful kit at the time, very, very popular, and they're still a fan favourite of mine. The classic Lehman Russ, I call it the Lehman Russ Mark 1B, and B being so you can add extra upgrades like the track guards and smoke launchers and ammo dumps and that kind of thing. So there you go. So there's the Lehman Russ Tank Company, and of course we have the Baneblade, and I can interchange that with a Hellhammer turret, so that's cool. And then we've got, these are my veteran troops, so these are my veteran squads. Some of these are not fully integrated into the squads, these are just odd units that I've added. So I've got 4 long lasers here, and then I've got 3 spare grenade launchers and a melter gun, Voxcaster, power sword, and there's a sergeant with a power fist and a las pistol, another sergeant with a power fist, bolt pistol, and then you've got a spare veteran guardsman. And I've got 3 guardsman squads, veteran guardsman squads that are fully completed. So there you go, those are the veterans of the Astra Militarum. They've served this army for many a year, so they're good old guys. So they've got units of ratlings. Now these are the newer ratlings. I hardly use these actually in game, I should really, but there you go. They're the newer ratlings, these are the lead ones, and then those are the very old ratlings. In the mid 90s they came out. And then we've got the Ogrins, and these are the older Ogrins, these are the lead ones. Can't get these anymore. So you've got the older Ogrins, they're awesome, and then of course you've got the really nice new plastic Ogrins. So I thought I'd bulk these out into a unit of 10, and it looks super cool. The skin took ages to paint, but following the GW method, it's paid off indefinitely. So full unit of 10, and then in the narrative a Commissar would accompany them as well. And then we'll start with the company HQ, or the headquarters, so to speak. So we have the head of the Cadian faction himself. You have Creed there. You've got Creed, and you have Colour Sergeant Kell, and in the narrative he is Sergeant Major of the Cadian armies, plural. So he is the top Sergeant Major of the Cadian army, or Cadian faction in general. So there's Cadian army, and then there's Cadian faction. So Cadian faction is Cadians in general. So then in command of my army group is Lord General Jacobus Courtesan. He is the guy. He is a Lord General in my narrative video. I encourage you to watch my narrative videos on how the Cadian army is organised, that's on my channel. There'll be a link in the description below. You can check that out, or you can just go onto my channel webpage there. So that's him. And then he's got his own command retinue. Now I'm going to redo the command retinue slightly with the insignia. It wouldn't take long. It would take about half an hour to do. Then in every regiment you would have a single Primaris Psyker. And then the Lord Commissar, you would have one of those in every army group. So he's a Lord Commissar. So he's the top Commissar of the army group. And then we have officers of the fleet, Master of Ordnance and Astropath. So those guys there, classic lead miniatures. I love the sculpting on them. So then you've got the command squads. So then you have, I will go through how they are organised later on in the video. So I have future plans as to how things are going to be done. So I've got, of course, how could I forget, Commissar Yarrick. So that is the classic Commissar Yarrick there. He is the head Commissar. Now, Yarrick did fight along Cadians a few times, but not as many times with the as compared to the Steel Legion Imperial Guard faction. So technically he's definitely in the narrative. He'll join Cadians if he wishes to. But then of course you've got Commissar Gaunt there, his camo cloak out there. He was part of the last Chance's box set a few years back. So there. And then of course, I wish Games Workshop would make these again. These are the Cascarins, or Cascarin, however you pronounce them. Such nice models. I wish they did them in plastic. The other thing as well that I was thinking about, that Forge World have recently got rid of the Cadian veteran box sets, like the Cadian command squad, different. Fortunately, I managed to get one of each of the box set just in time. But it's a bit of a shame they got rid of that, because I was going to expand on my veterans collection. But it's not to be. I think the reason why they've done that, I wasn't like, oh, too devastated in that. It's simply because I reckon they'll do them in plastic. I have a high feeling that Games Workshop will eventually do them in plastic, and if they did, that would be absolutely amazing. So the Cadian Cascarins, now with Forge World have recently, I think it's a couple of months back, they've got rid of the range for the Cadian veteran box sets, which is a bit of a shame. The resin models. I wasn't too sad about it, because what I reckon they'll do eventually, I just hope they do this, is that they'll make them in plastic, and it'll be a more versatile kit. So you can have, so in the narrative you would have, of course, the Cascarins, Cadian veteran squads with their full complement of war gear and gas masks and things like that, and furthermore they may make regular Cadian grenadiers with carapace armour. Now in the old rules back in 5th edition, 4th edition, you could do that. You could upgrade your veteran squads to have carapace armour, even with las guns. So I reckon that's what they've done. And then furthermore, they may have a general as a plastic model and his command squad. So you never know. There's so many things that Games Workshop could do to have more range with the guard. And furthermore, not forgetting the other factions as well. If they did a sprue for each Cadian faction, so each Imperial Guard faction, that would be absolutely superb. I think my brother Luke has done a video about that already, and I will put some hashtags in the end credits as to what models I want back. And I think you would agree as well. So Games Workshop got huge potential with Imperial Guard. They've just recently done the Necrons, so amazing sculpts. But anyway, going back to the showcase, I'll talk about that a bit later on. So we've got the Cascarins, we've got the spare command units. These are some of the old sergeants that I never got around to use. So these have not had this insignia updated yet, but they will do. And this is my conversion of Marbeau Guardsman Marbo. So he's pretty awesome. And then you've got Commander Chenkov, the classic model. So unfortunately I can't really use him in the narrative because he's not Cadian, but for competitive play you could. But there's no rules for him anymore anyway, sadly. So never mind. But going back to the vehicles, we've got 3 Hellhounds. We have a squadron leader. And then this one's armed with a high-mounted heavy flamer. These are the old lead ones. These are like the mid-90s. So these are the old lead turrets. Let me look at them. And the rules for flamers now are really good. Really pleased now. So you've got 3 Hellhounds, all fully painted. I've got the new ones, but they're not painted yet. And of course they're fully magnetised. You can check out my magnetising video. And then we've got a whole load of Sentinels. So I've got 4 Scout Sentinels, and then I've got 3 Armoured Sentinels. And of course these are all fully magnetised. And I'll be doing a full magnetising in-depth grand showcase in another video on Luke's channel. So I'll show you all of these miniatures, all the magnetising options for there. So then we've got, of course, we've got the Hydra, we've got a Wyvern, and then we've got a Manticore. And then for ages I didn't have Basilisks, and in the comments people were saying get Basilisks, get Basilisks. So about a year and a half ago I thought, right, that's it, painting 3 Basilisks, and I got the 3 Basilisks done. I've done some conversion work there, so all narrative of Shaker Shells, Acadian crewmen as well, all being insigniaed as well. They've got 3 of the new Lehman Russes. I've got a whole load of newer Lehman Russes, but of course they're not painted yet. I think I've got another 9 Lehman Russes to there. So then also we've got the Segge's Tank Destroyer. So that is a relic vehicle now. It's a rare vehicle amongst the army group and the Imperial faction itself. And then we have the Macarius Vanquisher. And then of course we have the Stormlord, and it's all fully magnetised as well. Then I have a single Valkyrie Vendetta that's fully painted. Now this used to be a regular Valkyrie, but I've upgraded it a bit more to give it anti-tank capability. I've got 3 Valkyrie kits in total, but one's constructed, one is still in the box. So fully painted miniatures is what this channel and my brother's channel is all about. So there you go. So now, the bulk of the army. The infantry. This is what forms the Cadian army. So we've already done the HQ. So we're going to look at the Wyvern Psychers. I've got 9 of them, all painted. That's all my Psychers complete. There's not many Psychers in the Astra Militarum. So that's all the Psychers complete for the time being, unless Games Workshop release more new releases. And then we've got the Chimera. These are the old classic Chimeras from Games Workshop. Back again in the mid-90s they came out. And that's its dedicated transport. It's for the company HQ. There you go, company HQ in all its glory. And there, medic pack, flamers, heavy flamers, everything like that. So then you got first platoon, second platoon, and then third platoon down there, and then platoon support or company support in there. Now this is the old way I've collected my infantry, and I've recently dug into the narrative, and the platoons and company sizes may vary. So what I'm going to hopefully do is get a whole load of infantry. So if there's a particular formation from a narrative point of view that I want to show off in a game, I will form that formation. And if you check out my narrative series, I'm going to I'll show you how to organise the insignia and how many squads there are in a platoon, and I will be doing how many there will be in a company, and so on and so forth. So exciting times for there. So let's zoom in here. So we've got platoon command here, platoon command there, platoon command, and then all the infantry squads and there. the thing is, the one thing I love about the Cadian army, just collecting them, is how they're organised. And when you dig into the narrative especially, it's really good fun. It makes you want to collect more. And I think Games Workshop, like I keep saying over and over again, underestimated how huge the Cadian army faction is. There's billions of these guardsmen spread out all across the galaxy. So let's zoom in here. So we've got the special weapons squads. So I've got one of each. I've got plasmas, flamers, and then we've got demo charges. We've got melters, long lasers, sniper rifles, and then you've got grenade launchers in there as well. And then we've got 3 units of 20 white shields, so 60 in total, and the commissar, keep an eye on the discipline. And then we've got a whole load of heavy weapons squads in support. So, there you go. I'm going to zoom right out to here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the camera back down, and I'm just going to talk to you about what the plans are for this incredible collection. And sit back and enjoy. So let's talk about the Cadian faction itself, and this army in particular, a bit of the narrative that I thought I would come up with for this army. So this army, how would I well, basically how I've done it is that I've been collecting Imperial Guards since 2007, and today it's 2020, so it's August 2020. So this is how long Lord Jacobus Courtism has been in command of the 18th Cadian army group. Now originally they were the 18th Cadian Regiment, but the more that I dug into the narrative, the more vast the formations were. So I thought, do you know what, an army group is huge. So I thought I'd do different regiments, different styles of regiments, different formations, so I can have more diversity and things like that. So I'm not as limited in how I structure the army. So I've called it the 18th Cadian Army Group. So the 18th Cadian Army Group is the current name of this Imperial Guard collection. Now, they were called back in the early 2000s the 18th Cadian Urban Cleansers. Now, what happened to the 18th Cadian Urban Cleansers is that in the narrative they got wiped out by the Tyranids, Luke's Tyranids, High Fleet, what are they called now? High Fleet Diablo, that's the one. So our High Fleet is called High Fleet Diablo, as you can check out the narrative in that video, in my battle report, the Apocalypse battle report that we did. So they got wiped out, sadly. The 18th Cadian Urban Cleansers, they are no more. They were wiped out, sadly. There were a few survivors. One of them was Captain Courtism, which is that guy there. He was a captain, and now he's an army. He's a Lord General of the Cadian Army Group. So the 18th Cadian Urban Cleansers were wiped out. So in honour of their stand, they became the 18th Cadian Regiment, and that was led by General Courtism. He was promoted for a big promotion from captain to general for doing heroic deeds, then fourth. So now currently he is the Lord General of this faction. What else shall I say, narratively speaking? Yes, the uniforms. Now, the colour scheme, original colour scheme for the Imperial Guard. Now, Luke was experimenting at the time with different colours and that. So originally, the shoulder pads were all grey. Now, I remember those. Now, there may be a little heresy going on, but it has been purged, don't worry. Now, Luke wanted to have allies for his Tau army back in the early 2000s. I thought myself, and Luke's kind of agreed as well, he kind of capitulated, he said, you know, it doesn't really make sense. So Luke bought some Imperial Guard Cadians, and then later they defected from the Tau Empire, and then they got slaughtered later on by my Ultramarines. So the little narrative that we did years and years and years ago. But now they have a new uniform, and they have the original black carapace and everything like that. So then I did a revamp of the insignia. This is when I wasn't too knowledgeable about how they are organised and things like that. That was in the, I think about 2010, something like that. So they've applied their new insignia at the time. So I've done that. But then a couple of years back later, I really researched. My friend Matt and Dan really helped me with how you structure the Cadian army. Now, I've based my Cadian insignia of both mix. I didn't mention this in one of my videos, how the tank company is organised, but I'll mention it now. Is that it's a mix of US Army and British. So I mixed them around a bit more. So, but the vast majority of the ranks are US. So I've done an overview of all the ranks in my narrative series. So I'm really looking forward to that narrative series, and I hope it will bring it to life a bit more, how they're all structured. It's an exciting project. I love doing it. Every unit in the Imperial Guard, I don't get bored of doing it. It's just everything. It's just they have their story, they have their narrative, and it's really, really cool. If you love the Guard, then I highly recommend that you check out those videos. So yeah, so basically, in short, the 18th Cadian Urban Cleansers, they got wiped out by the Tyranids about 15 years ago from Terra Earth years. And then some of the survivors reformed, and then Captain Courtesan got promoted to General Courtesan, and then now he is Lord General of the 18th Cadian Army Group. So they were a regiment, but now they are a army group. So the army group is huge. There's millions upon millions upon millions of guardsmen. So that's a lot of guardsmen, in other words. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a bit of the narrative. Now the plans on what I really want to collect. What else do I want to collect for my army? Now, starting off, let's go with the characters. Now the characters, I did have Pask. Pask is currently being redone. I did have the Pask model. I need to sort him out. I need to get him painted. Now, but the reason why I converted him is because obviously I love magnetizing. I love magnetizing all the models, things like that. And then what else is I going to say? Yes, that's another thing as well. I bought 2 Commander Pasks because I wanted one for the Demolisher turret, and as he was a lead model, you can't really magnetize him, so I had to use super glue. So I got 2 Commander Pasks at the time. They're both lead, so I'm going to put one on the Demolisher turret, and I'll put one, which I've already done, on the regular turret. I just hadn't had time, sadly, to do it, but I will bring him back. And I've got a really exciting video coming up about how Lehman Russes are organised, and there's a special honorary mention of Commander Pask in that video, so it will be coming up on my channel, so do check that out when it comes out. Creed, yep, he's all painted. Colour Sergeant Kell, his rank is a unique rank. He is the Sergeant Major of the Cadian faction, or Cadian army groups, or Cadian armies plural, but Cadian faction in general. To me, when Games Workshop released the the announcement that Colour Sergeant Kell died, well, let's just say I was gutted, to say the least. I have a particular hatred for a baddie now. It is horrible. Snapped his neck. It's gruesome. It's horrible. How could they release, a beautiful model, beautifully sculpted model. I said, oh, we'll cut him off. So, devastated by that, but never mind. The model is still there, and we will still use Kel in our future games. Creed, I love Creed. Don't know where he is. Yeah, he's some kind of vault somewhere. Some guy will probably comment on the video and let us know whereabouts he is in the narrative. Then there's not many HQs I need to paint and characters, which is good. I'm quite a big fan of non-named characters, so I can make my own characters up. So I was thinking of doing that. But anyway, the other thing as well. Yes. Now let's go to the command units. So you've got the command HQ. Now, the way that I've structured the command squads. Now I've got a whole load of spare banners. Now accompanying the company HQ, so the structure would be, it'll be mentioned in the future narrative video, but I may as well quickly mention it now. So you have a captain, and then you have his bodyguard of the command squad. But then accompanying the captain and the bodyguard, you would have a first and second lieutenant, and they would have their own bodyguards. So then the three banners works out pretty well. And this banner here, that's for the Lord General. So that's the Lord General's command retinue there. So that's pretty cool. I like that. So he would be Sergeant Major of the Cadian Army, which is that group there. He has a power sword in special honour. These guys, sadly, the Marbo unit I don't really use because I'm very fussy about narrative. Marbo to me fits with the Katchans better when playing. And then I've got Commander Chenkov. Unfortunately, it's the wrong Imperial Guard regiment, but never mind. Stormtroopers, the Cascarins, if they did them in plastic, which I really hope Games Workshop would do, I'd love to get 6 boxes of them in total. Well, I've already got 1 box, but then another 5, because the way it's laid out in organisation terms. So if you check out my videos about how they're organised, in my narrative videos how the Cadian Army is sorted and organised, do check that out. So there's more details about that. So yeah, that's the characters done there. Now the Chimeras, I do have Chimeras. I was thinking of doing a mechanised Cadian mechanised company of Chimeras. I've got spare Chimeras, the new ones, but they haven't been constructed yet. So only, like I said, fully painted units count for this purpose of this video. So Chimeras there. The infantry. Now I've done it so that all these infantry that you see in the video, the regulars, they are guardsmen 2nd class. Now the veterans are guardsmen 1st class, but the regulars are 2nd class. Now I would love to do a platoon or maybe a company of Cadian garrison troops. So there's 3 platoons I'm hopefully going to do with them. So they'll be guardsmen 3rd class, so they're not quite as experienced, but they're garrison troops. So that's cool. And then, yeah, just a whole, yeah, just a few. I think just to go for another. Actually, the platoon sizes have increased, so this is an important bit actually I need to mention. Now, the way I structured my old platoons and companies is that I've done 3 platoons in a company, and then you have 3 squads. Okay, but I really want to expand that. So the good thing about painting these Cadians, I've got all the spare sergeants and everything like that, they'll hopefully fill in the gaps, is that I'm going to have, for the regulars, they're going to be 5 infantry squads per company, and then you'd have 5 infantry squads per platoon, and then maybe a maximum of 6 platoons in a company. I'm not sure, but what I'm going to do is not all the CADIan platoons would have special weapons teams and heavy weapons squads. So I'm aiming for the heavy weapons platoons. I'd love to get another. How many is there? There's 6, 12, 15 heavy weapon squads. One of each weapon, of course, because I'm kind of like that. And then the most common of those weapons would be the autocannons. So CADIans prefer autocannons and grenade launchers. So that's the kind of theme I want to do. The other thing as well is white shields. I'm aiming to get another, I think another 30, and that'll be okay for them. And then for special weapons, I was thinking of adding another 10 special weapon squads, so it's one of each of the thing. And the other thing as well I'd love to do is a pioneer infantry platoon. So I will do that in an upcoming video in my narrative series, so keep an eye on that. It's really good fun. I've done all the artwork and everything, I've just got to layer it out and do all the narrative for that. So, but for the garrison squads, the garrison platoons, how they are laid out is that they're bigger platoons than the regular platoons, but not as many platoons in a company. So there'll be 3 platoons in a company as opposed to 6 platoons for the regulars in the company. So for the garrison, they'll have 6 squads. So I aim to do that, and then plus support and everything like that. And then now, Lehman Russes. Yes, the mainstay of the Imperial Guard when it comes to armour is the Lehman Russes. I've got all the classic Lehman Russes. I'm happy with them. I need to find the original turrets though. I may convert them to the original turrets, the battle cannons, so I can interchange if I want to. I'm not really too fussed. It looks all right, to be honest with you. So yes. Oh, so that's the Lehman Russes, and then for veterans, if they did them in plastic, the veterans. Now, for veterans, the more you dig into the narrative, the more I'm really particular about narratives. So they have to be in a certain way, like a certain construction, that kind of. Whatever Games Workshop does, I try to do as accurately as possible. In fairness to the narrative. So if they redid them, I'll be over the moon. I really would. It looks so good. So I aim to do maybe 6 squads, just a single platoon, because veteran squads are not as common as regulars, because sadly all these veterans die easily, just as well as the regulars. Now, yes, the newer Lehman Russes, I have a company's worth already. I'm not sure how many more I want to get. I could. You see, the thing is that I don't want to spoil it too much on the next video, hopefully coming up on my channel, about how Lehman Russes are organised. So I'm not going to say too much about Lehman Russes, and I'll let you find out how they're organised. So. But I definitely plan to paint up more Lehman Russes. This is just a long-term project I really want to do as well. Anything else in particular? Yes, the Sentinels. Sentinels, I'm probably going to go for another 3, actually another 6 scout, another 7 armoured. So they'll have their insignia and everything like that. So I'm going to do that. Now, I've been reading up in one of the books. I think it was the book CADIA Stands. And he did, in the book it mentioned that there's 600 Sentinels in a regiment. 600. That's in a recon regiment. That's huge. I'm not doing 600 Sentinels, by the way. I'm not doing that. but I think a few more similar. I think they're great. I think they're amazing models. But again, they'll all be magnetised because I've noticed over the years that people regret not magnetising, and I just wanted to anticipate what if this weapon becomes better. So I always try to magnetise my models whenever I can. Yes, the Sugi's tank destroyer. Yes. Now I do have 2 of them constructed, but they're not painted. They're actually really quick to paint, so I may easily get a squadron of them done pretty quickly. So that's for them. And then also its sister tank or brother tank, the tank Thunderer Siege tank. That's the one. Thunderer Siege tank. I've got them just in time before Forgeworld stopped doing them. So they are not as common as Lehman Russes in the narrative. They are rare. Now, also the Sugi's tank destroyer, laser destroyer, that has been superseded by the Lehman Russ Vanquisher. So Vanquishers are more common. But still, I've got that weapon if I want to choose. It's a great weapon, by the way. It's in the narrative. I think it's 2d3 shots, strength 9, AP -3, d6 damage. So it potentially could be better than Vanquisher. So it's pretty cool. Next is oh yes, of course, the Basilisks. Now, Basilisks, I love the Basilisks. Basilisk tank. I don't think Games Workshop really need to resculpt it. The only thing they've redone, obviously, is the chassis, which I'm kind of glad they've done that. The original kit itself, I have no problem with. It's an old kit. It's good. And I plan to get another 6 more of them if I wanted to in the future. So I have to paint them up, and then they're all insignia, everything like that. And then now the other thing as well is another request I really want Games Workshop to do, or Forgeworld, whoever. It has to be either of those 2 companies. I'm not a big fan of third-party companies. I don't encourage people to go to China because the majority of stuff is not as good. It never will be, in my opinion. Because Forgeworld, you can't. To me, you can't beat Forgeworld and Games Workshop sculpting when it comes to dedicated Warhammer 40k. It's just my opinion. But yeah, they haven't. Games Workshop really need to release the Salamander Scout vehicle and the Command vehicle. They haven't. They've got rid of them for some sad reason. I don't know why they've done that. What they could do is that they could make a tank with a multi-purpose sprue. I mean, why can't they just do that? It'd be so good if they did that. If they just did a new Chimera chassis vehicle, but then have the old options integrated into the sprue, that would be absolutely superb if they did that. That's just a request. I hope they do that. If they did, that'd be amazing. The reason why I say this is because in the narrative, the Basilisks wouldn't be commanded by a command Basilisk. There would be a command vehicle that would be commanding them. So that's the aim with them. So Basilisks, I love Basilisks. The other artillery pieces are Colossuses, the Medusas. I'm not sure if I'd love to get them, but I don't think Games Workshop do them anymore, which is, again, it's just so sad. Then another potential they could do is that they could re-sculpt the Basilisk like they've done with the Lehman Russ and give it interchangeable weaponry. So that's just another idea they could do for the Basilisk. So that's great if they did that. Next is the, let's go with the Manticore. Manticore, how many do I want to get? Manticore, and how could I forget also the Death Strike? I'll talk about that in a second. Now the Manticore, I'd love to get a battery of 3. I haven't got them yet, but I would love to do them. And next time, I'm going to magnetize it so that only the missiles come off, but not magnetize it so it becomes a Death Strike. So I'll explain that a bit later. So yeah, these don't come off sadly because it's quite an old model. So before I did magnetizing seriously, but I aim to do 2 more of the Manticores there. Now, and the other thing as well, when digging into the narrative, there's loads of different types of Manticores. There's one that's the standard Manticore, which you see there. You've got the Forge World one, which is even more potent than the Games Workshop Manticore. And then you've got an anti-aircraft version of the Manticore. So you've got that as well, so it's pretty cool. The Manticores are great. So yeah, unfortunately, again, you can't get these models anymore. They release all the rules for them, but they don't have the models for you to play with. Unless it's obviously for older folk that have got the models already. So I can understand why they've done that. The other thing as well is the Death Strike. Now, Death Strikes, it's up to the general, however you command. This is just my opinion, but I think for every regiment you'd only have 1 Death Strike. So it is the Death Strike is the weapon that is the last resort. So it's basically a nuclear weapon. T minus 10 or 5 seconds, and then to fire this massive missile. And in the narrative, it does huge damage. So I will be getting hopefully a Death Strike, but it's only going to be 1. I need 1. I'm not sure how the ranking system will work with that, but I'll figure it out soon enough. Next one is the Wyvern. Now the Wyvern, I love the model. It's a brilliant model, really good idea from Games Workshop. The Wyvern, again, I plan to do 3 of them, like a squadron. I've only got 1 painted at the moment. And it's the same with the Hydra as well. I'm really glad that Games Workshop redid the Hydra. It's a beautiful model, a brilliant model. I didn't really want to magnetize them. I don't think you could as well, it's quite hard to do that. But I wanted to have a battery, a dedicated battery of Hydras and a dedicated battery of Wyverns. I think it just looks better, in my opinion. The new Hellhounds, how could I forget? Now the classic Hellhounds are finished. I don't need to get any more. I'm happy with what I've got there. The new Hellhounds I do have, but I constructed them, all magnetised, as you've seen in my magnetising video on how to magnetise Hellhounds, but I haven't painted them yet, so I need to do them. So I love the new Hellhounds, they are great. I have 3 of them, and that is all I'll get. So I've got them already, pleased with them. Next is the Macarius Vanquisher, yes. Now, Macarius Vanquisher, in the narrative, they are really, really rare for the Cadian army. So in an army group, I'll probably only have 1 regiment, even probably only 1 battalion, because they're very rare tanks. But I will plan eventually to get a squadron of 3 of them, and that'll look epic. Or 1 of each of the weapons. So you've got the battle cannon variant, or you've got the Macarius Falcon, which is a superb model. So I may do that. Next up is the Shadow Sword. Shadow Sword, I've already got 1 constructed, and I've got 1 in the box, so there's another 3 in total. And I may as well talk about Bane Blades as well. Bane Blades are all constructed. I've got 3 Bane Blades. Now, I may be doing another in-depth magnetising tutorial on how to magnetise a Shadow Sword / Bane Blade. And also the sponsons as well. I want to interchange from Flamers to Heavy Bolters. I didn't do that in my how to magnetise Bane Blades and Shadow Swords. But I'm going to try and push myself to magnetise all the weapons for a single kit. So it fits in how many you can have in the company. So in the CADIA, when looking at Lexicon and Warhammer 40k fandom, it says that in the narrative they're great resources. By the way, I wouldn't have done this without them. They help. Some people, I can understand, it can be a bit repetitive reading from their resources and that, but I like it. I think it's great. So I'm kind of flexible. I'd read from GW novel, or I'd read from a 140k fandom or Lexicon. I have no discrimination towards any of them. I think they're great resources, and I highly recommend you check them out. They're brilliant. So going back to how they're structured, Baneblades in the Cadian faction, they would have 4 Baneblades in a company. Now, Baneblade is the equivalent of a platoon, a single Baneblade. So they're pretty big tanks, and they're rare tanks. They would only have like a few regiments of Baneblades in an army group. So there you go. Next is the Valkyries. Valkyries and Vendettas, and not forgetting Vultures. Valkyries, the Vendettas, I've got 3 Vendetta kits, and I'd love to get another 2 more Vendettas, and another 2 more regular Valkyries, and another 3 Vultures. I love the Vultures. Again, Forge World is such a bane, such a bane. I love Forge World, but when they get rid of their stuff, it does make me cry at times. Thank the Emperor, they still got the Punisher cannon buried. Okay, which is good. The other thing as well is they've got rid of the anti-personnel missiles and the Sky Strike missiles as well on them, which is a bit of a shame. But it could well be that they do it in plastic. But the thing is that you got the Valkyrie plastic parts and then integrated into the resin. So I don't think they'll do that in a long time. But I've got a single Vendetta, and I love them. I love the look of it. It just looks intimidating. I mean, 6 las cannons pointing at a tank. I mean, and with no minuses as well to hit. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think Vendettas are good. I highly recommend Vendettas. They're hard to hit, and yeah, it may be in one of our battle reports again. So that's cool. Next to talk about is I think we covered everything. Oh yes, Commissars. Yes, let's go into a little bit more detail. Commissars. So Commissars, I think I've got all the Commissars I need. There's another Commissar I've got, which is a different pose, an old Games Workshop model, but it hasn't been painted yet. So that's okay. I'm not fussed about Commissars. There's a lot of Commissars in this army collection, which is good. So that's Commissars done. Minister and Priests, I've got another 2. They need to be painted. Again, all Games Workshop sculpts, and that's fine. Psychers, I've got all the Psychers I need. I'm happy with them. Oh yes, Ogrins and Ratlings, the auxiliaries. I'd love to get balls. I've got 3 constructed with I think it's the maces and the shield generator things, but I need to get the slab shield ones as well. So for Ogrins, I like to do 3 units of 10. So I've already got 1, and I go 1 of each. So 1 massive unit of 10 Ogrins, 1 with siege shields and the assault launcher, and then you've got the other one with the maces and the power fields shields. Next is the Ratlings. Ratlings, I've got how many have I got painted? I've got 17 Ratlings painted, and I'd love to fill it out with another to make it a unit of 30. So 2 units of 10. So sorry, 3 units of 10. So that's the plan. And then I think I'm pretty much covered. yeah, I just wonder what future kits and things they'll do for Games Workshop. I mean, again, I say this over and over again, and Luke says it over and over again. They really need to redo the Astra Militarum. Games Workshop really need to do them. I can understand the frustration for Guard players. I mean, the sculpts for the old lead models are absolutely fantastic, but they do need a serious revamp. Yeah, that's just my opinion on that. Cadians, what they need to do, Cadians, there will be a list of units hashtagging the end credits, so that's the request that I'd love for Games Workshop to do. How could I forget? I've just had it in my mind just now. Reaper laser batteries, I'd love to get them, 3 of them from Forge World. Yes, you can get Reaper laser batteries for Cadians because Forge World do them, and I hope they don't get rid of them. So I may be tempted to get them as well. The other thing they do is Cyclops demolition vehicles. So I may be tempted to get about 9 of them, something like that. And then the Tarantula platforms. I'm going to have a squadron of each. So a squadron of heavy bolters, 3, and a squadron of twin las cannons for them. So I forgot about the vultures. And did I cover that? I think I did. But basically, in short, let's just cover it again. 3 vendettas, 3 regular Valkyries, 3 vultures. That's for air support. Now, the Astra Militarum is different when it comes to the force organisation compared to the Aeronautica Imperialis. Aeronautica Imperialis is organised completely different to that of the Astra Militarum Air Force. Okay, so the Astra Militarum Air Force is the 199 Emperor's Void Hunters. Now, I recently named them. Why is it called 1993? That's because my wife was born that year, so I thought I'd integrate that into the name. And then the 1987 Emperor's Butcherbird Squadron, or Emperor's Butcherbird Air Force. So you have that. Now, diverting slightly off the topic here, Astra Militarum are organised like the American Air Force, and I've done it so that's integrated with this faction, as you see on the screen. And then the Aeronautica Imperialis, they are organised like the British Royal Air Force. Now, I think, coming to the conclusion, I think that's more narrative, because if you read some of the later, some of the Games Workshop books, the insignia and the officer corps, they are like flight lieutenant, pilot officer. They name those names, wing leader, group captain, that kind of thing. They name those in the books, and it's based on British insignia. So that is narrative. Okay, so that's why I've done it. So it's the British method. But for Astra Militarum, I'm going to do it so it's kind of mostly American, US Air Force. So there you go. So that's it. I think I've covered what I really want to collect. There's so much that Games Workshop could do as well. And one more unit. There is one more unit that I wish Games Workshop will resculpt. And that is the Sabre weapons batteries. The Sabre weapons batteries. Games Workshop, please bring them back. If they did, that'd be so good. So good. I just really miss them. They need to do so much stuff. I mean, Games Workshop are doing so well, and it really pleased the veterans. It really pleased the guys, and I hope they do them. If they did them, I'm getting them. Sorry, wife, I have to get them. So there you go. So I'd love to do these Cadians, get back into them. love painting them. The good thing about painting these CADIans, they're really easy to paint. They're a lot quicker to paint than my Space Marines. So the new rules for Space Marines now, 2 wound Space Marines for classics. That's a really good move that Games Workshop have done. If you haven't checked out their Warhammer community, do check it out. All the upgrades and tips and things that they're going to do, absolutely superb. So there you go. That's my rant and overview of the plans I'd love to do for this army. I think it's an absolutely beautiful army. The sculpts are fantastic. Yeah, they could do. Games Workshop could do so much more, which is brilliant. But there you go. That's my opinion on what Games Workshop could do, and a quick overview of plans on what I'd love to collect for future games. So hopefully I'll try and get those units done whenever I can, and whenever I do finish a particular unit or an army, I will do a showcase video. So there you go. I may do a video about how to form your Imperial Guard armies, like platoon sizes, like themed platoons. I may do a showcase on that. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like this video, do hit the like button. It would be greatly appreciated. And leave a comment below. Leave any suggestions. Actually, here's a comment you could pass on. Is that what unit do you want back in the CADIan or Imperial Guard faction? What unit do you want back, or which sculpts or new ideas that Games Workshop could do? So I thought I'd leave that, guys. Leave that to you. Special thank you to Marcus Fraze and Patrick Darling. Thank you guys so much. Marcus Fraze is a platoon commander. Yes, so Marcus Fraze is a platoon commander. So you're in command of 1st Platoon. That is your platoon, sir. Your name will be honorably mentioned. So you are 1st Platoon. So I think you'll be yes, actually you're the first Patreon ever on my Patreon page. So you'll be promoted to 1st Lieutenant. So congratulations, Marcus Fraze. That is your platoon. And then we have Patrick Darling, who is a 2nd Lieutenant, and he is a tank commander of that tank platoon, aka company. So Patrick Darling, that is your tank company. So there you go. So thank you to you guys for supporting, and if you want to support me on the channel, do head over to my Patreon page. All Patreons, regardless of rank, whether you're a White Shield, regular, anything like this, just for fun, your name will be mentioned in my battle reports, and you'll have a name tag as well. So that's the plan that we'd love to do for my brother's battle reports, and as well as mine if I do any. So I will do some special name tags, and your name will be next to your particular miniature, depending on how much you donate. But any donation whatsoever will be greatly appreciated. It's a shame that we couldn't do I haven't done many games lately. It's because of the lockdown. So, but Luke's coming over soon. CADIans are coming back. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like, subscribe, share this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you found your inspiration for today when it comes to collecting your Imperial Guard, and learnt a bit more about the narrative about this army. So there you go. Happy wargaming, and CADIA stands.